All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. My name is Zonzi, and I am the host of the Discord Showcase AMA series. Today we have two special guests coming from Functionland. How are you guys?
Pretty good here. Thank you. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to, to be here.
Yeah, perfect. It's a pleasure being here.
Awesome. Great to hear. Yeah, I'm really happy to have you guys here today. I always like to kick it off with introductions. So, why don't you tell us a bit about who you are, a bit about your backstory, and what brought you into crypto and ultimately um, working on the Functionland project?
Yeah, Irfan, you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Irfan. I'm the tokenomics lead and co-founder of Functionland. My background is in economy, accounting, and finance, and I started exploring the crypto back in 2016. I started doing investing in crypto back then, actually by analyzing the different projects and different potential that we could find in this environment. And then last year with Kevin and Ehsan, we joined. I joined them actually. They started sooner than me, so I joined them on this project, and it's been an honor so far to be working with them.
Thank you, Irfan. Actually, Irfan was humble enough not to mention he was one of the Bitcoin miners in 2010. So, and
Wow,
I'm
what a
Ehsan.
pioneer!
Yeah,
Yeah.
I lost those bitcoins. That's why I don't mention them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he lost the hard drive. Uh, and I'm Ehsan. I'm the COO of Functionland. I got my master's in electrical engineering from CU Boulder back in 2010. The time where Irfan was making money, I was studying, and then I had my started my first company. It was a website design back then when it was hot. Uh, and got into development world. Since then, I've been an open source developer, like contributing to some open source projects for the past 15 years. And then, like actually 3 years ago, we started a project with K1. It was an open source resume standard, so something like LinkedIn, but open source. And like we completed it, but then we got into another idea that how can we monetize open source, because we were both open source developers and we wanted to monetize open source for developers and give a better experience to users, because we are all seeing these applications that big tech companies are creating, and we can actually improve it as developers, but we don't have access to codes. So we actually came up with that idea, and that was when Functionland started. And like the very initial point that we got together actually with the rest of the team was when Google announced that they are removing the free tier from their Photos application, which was very unacceptable for us. Like we were relying on Google Photos for years because they marketed it as a free forever application, and it was totally unacceptable that they are changing the terms. It was not their first time, like, and this time we thought let's do a change to the whole ecosystem of cloud. This time for good.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You gave a really good explanation as to like what inspired the creation of Functionland, and so you kind of already touched on my next question. Like, how did you come about with the idea to tackle this data storage issue with the whole blockchain? What do you call it? The BF blockchain attached storage,
Yes,
and
but
the having the the box miners, it reminds me a lot of the helium miners. So it's a really unique, interesting concept. I'd love to hear more about it.
Yeah, sure, exactly. So it's interesting you mentioned Helium because that's the first project everyone like when we mentioned Functionland, like the whole when we explained the Functionland mission, the first project that people compare us to is Helium. So basically, as I said, so when we started, we wanted a way to both to monetize open source and to give the control back to the users, because as I said, like when Google removed the free tier from photos, it was not their first time. It will not be their first time. So it will not be their last time actually. So we wanted, like, we thought, what is the problem that gives so much power to these cloud providers? Like right now, there is a misalignment of power between users and providers. Users being either developers or consumers. Like these cloud providers, these platforms, they charge hefty fees to developers. Like Apple charges a lot for developers when they want to publish an application. And also they have too much power over users. Like a lot of users are now saying it, like they are saying that the risks that they are facing when they share their data with these big companies right now outweigh the benefits they are receiving. And we were thinking, what's the problem there? And the problem is we as users are not the owners of our data. Like everything we have is right now being hosted by these cloud providers, and whenever we want to access our own data, we need to go through these gatekeepers. And whenever they want, they can block our access. They can discontinue a service that like have thousands of users because like it's not profitable for them, or they can increase their fees and impose it on the users, like the fees that might not be even be spent on the product development, but like probably they are spending a lot of it on the marketing or uh, being not that efficient in their processes. So we were like, the first thing that comes to mind when we think of control is blockchain. That's what first came to our mind. But the problem here, like in Web3, is right now it's very techy. Like a lot of users, in order to get into Web3 and blockchain, they need to understand the blockchain side. They need to be comfortable enough to run codes on their computer, to open a command line and run a few lines of codes at least. For developers, on also it's very hard. Like they need to run through steep learning curves. Like I was an open source developer for years. In order to create my first application, I had to like basically study a lot of materials around the protocols, around how to run like a protocol on my computer and start developing a Web3 application. So those two challenges were the ones that we are trying to address with blockchain attached to storage. And that's to make it easy for developers to create applications, to create Web3 applications, and to allow users to host their own data, but to still maintain the benefits of cloud, which is like resilient backups and easy sharing, easy collaboration, real-time collaboration with others, and access from everywhere to their data.
Unreal. Yeah, you guys got a fantastic mission statement, tackling some really important issues. So I want to. So could you break down a bit more of how the Fula protocol works and where you're currently at, and your what stage of development you're currently at?
Yes. So if you don't mind, I'll share some slides just to give an overview of how Fula works.
Sounds good. Let's jump into that.
Yeah. Okay. You're seeing my screen, right? Because I don't see it myself.
Yes.
And that's a picture of the plug and play box right there. on that first slide?
Yes. So this is a picture of the product, which I'll get deeper into. So basically, like the way it works, like we are not focused on selling users another product. So this hardware that is there, it's just to support those people who don't want to like run any piece of code or install anything. We also have like everything we are creating is open source. Our protocol is open source. The hardware designs are open source. The PCBs are open source. So anyone out there can go and create their own box. But the idea here is to make users the cloud providers themselves. So one of the challenges that this decentralized web is right now facing is slow fetching times for files. Because if I upload something on, let's say, IPFS, raw IPFS right now, part of my files can be anywhere. So part of my file can be in Canada, like another part of the file can be in China. And to get the whole file, I need to travel all the way like to China and Canada and get the files together, pieces of the file together to generate the whole file. We are addressing that problem with the concept of local pools. So Fula Protocol allows users in a city to create a pool, join that pool together, and then share their storage to back up each other's data and share their CPUs with each other to run an AI algorithm, for example. So me and Irfan in Toronto with 50 other people can create a pool in Toronto, join this pool. I back up Irfan's file and like 2 other people's files, and they back up my files. And like this is a reciprocal transaction, so like it doesn't impose any cost on me. I'm backing up Irfan's file, he's backing up my file, and it can be totally zero net. And because it's local, it doesn't like increase the latency to fetch the files. So that would like if we are making that part like very simple, like we are giving an installable file that user can install on any hardware, like it doesn't require that much power. You can install it on your laptop or a Raspberry Pi, make it basically a node, and start sharing data with others, like sharing resources with others. And now that you have this hardware, basically you have a hardware that is running Fula, and it can mine tokens by providing resources to others and validating transactions. So I need a validation that Irfan is actually backing up my file if I don't know him, like I don't know half of my neighbors. So I need a validation from them that they are backing up my files. And these validations, the validation of these transactions on top of me providing resources, generates tokens for me, which then I can use those tokens to pay the developers of the applications that I'm using. So we are creating 3 applications in-house. One is this Photos application, which is an alternative of Google Photos, basically running on our ecosystem. So whenever I'm using this Photos application, I'm using it for free. But the tokens that I have in my hardware, which are accumulated from the mining that I'm doing, is used to pay the developer of this application. And actually, Formidable Labs is like our amazing partner in creating these applications. So we are creating Photos, a file manager, and a password manager initially. But we believe like because the ecosystem is incentivized for developers, we can onboard developers to create more applications for the ecosystem. And this hardware here is just basically a plug and play hardware. So as I said, you can install the software on any hardware you have. But for those who want a cool gadget besides not needing to install anything, there is a hardware. They can plug it to the internet simply and like open their phone, start using the apps that are familiar to them, like this Google Photos alternative that I just shared. It's modular, so like each tower gives a functionality. They can expand the functionality with more storage, more CPU power. We are also in talk with some of our partners to diversify the functionality. Like just imagine at one point if you partner with Helium and there is a Helium miner tower, then users can replace their router with this hardware, basically creating like a decentralized base, a decentralized hardware base for different projects to collaborate.
All right. Fantastic. One thing I do have a question about is how security works. You were mentioning how like you can create a network between 50 people in Toronto. Um, how like what stops other people from viewing my files? Like how does everyone's individual data remain secured and discreet?
Yeah, and that's a very valid question. So basically, the idea here is to create a trustless network. So so here is how it works. When I upload a file, it gets encrypted on the fly, and a full backup is always like an encrypted version is always present on my own hardware. So I always have a full backup of my files on my own hardware. This is to ensure that if the rest of the world doesn't exist and I'm the only user of the box, I have full access to all of my files. Then the file, which is encrypted, gets chunked up. Those chunks are then re-encrypted and being stored on other boxes in my neighborhood. So uh, like one of my neighbors, if like they don't really see what data is on their box, like on their hardware, they see that like I'm backing up my files on their box, but they don't know what it is because they got first they have an encrypted version of chunk of my file. So even if they somehow gather all the chunks together, they still can't figure it out because it's encrypted, but they can't even do that because the chunks are like in 50 other boxes as well. That's like similar to how Filecoin is working actually. Filecoin is one of our partners, but the thing is they are more B2B with this creation of application set that we have. We are trying to like go beat like for more consumer side, not businesses, because we believe like consumers also need an easy way to benefit from Web3, and this is like we are trying to provide them with that easy way, which is free if they want, or just the plug and play hardware if they don't want to install anything themselves. And regarding the protocols that we are using libp2p. So the connection between your client and the network of boxes is through libp2p, which is pretty secure. Like a lot of blockchains like Ethereum are using it, so it's really, it can't be broken. And nowhere your files are stored unencrypted except when it reaches your client. So when you open the photo on your phone, on your mobile phone, that's where it's encrypted. Anywhere else on the network, your files are encrypted. So it's as safe or even safer than cloud.
Gotcha. So like in short, essentially how it works is only the owner of the files can like access the encrypted version of their files, like no one else would be able to.
Exactly. So that's the way it works. And when you share the file, basically in the background, we have actually our dev. I see one of our dev team here, but the way it works, like when you share the file, there is a new key generated for that file that like exactly the same way that when you share a file in Google, basically with others. So rest of your files are pretty secure. You can share the file with your friend, and you can revoke their access whenever you want to. Exactly like the way that you do it in Google. Like you can set expiry time, revoke the access without imposing any security risk on other files that you have.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. This is really intriguing. So so it essentially Fula is its own blockchain. Would that be correct? And I'm wondering how you guys integrate. Like I noticed you're working with Polygon, and your website lists partnerships like Filecoin and Dfinity. I'm just wondering how all of that works.
Yeah, so let me just give a brief overview of blockchain, and Irfan can dig into the tokenomics of the blockchain. So our blockchain, like Fula, is a blockchain, but it's a layer 3 blockchain. So basically we are not, because we are using this humble like Raspberry Pi on the hardware, we don't want to consume the CPU and storage of that hardware to run a full node. So what we are doing is creating a layer 3 blockchain which is not doing any consensus. So the transactions that happen are getting recorded on the hardware for 1 day. At the end of the day, we submit these transactions in a zero knowledge rollup to a layer 2. So this parent chain, and by layer 2 I mean full layer 2, not like necessarily a layer 2 blockchain. So this parent chain then can be Polygon. So we submit these transactions to Polygon. The consensus happens on Polygon, and the transaction basically gets recorded on Polygon, like a roll up of the transactions gets recorded on Polygon, and then the Fula layer 3 is reset. At the next day, it starts over again. So there is no history of transactions on L3, on Fula L3. And that's how we integrated other chains. So we submit the transactions to Polygon, we can submit it to Polkadot, to Dfinity, and the transactions basically get recorded there. And like regarding the rewarding and tokenomics, Irfan can dig into more detail on that.
Yes, but before that, let me just mention some few points. So, as you mentioned earlier, so many people compare our project to Helium. So our target market, technically, one of the cohorts that we're targeting, it's crypto enthusiasts, just like Helium. The other one is privacy-minded people. But there is another target that they can benefit from this project, probably most than anyone else. The bankless people, the people who don't have credit cards to pay for, available services right now, like cloud storage. They can pay for their iCloud or, Google Photos and other softwares at this point to store their data. But with Fula Protocol and with these boxes, they can actually create their own cloud, and they can join the cloud and back up each other's data without having credit card, without needing a credit card to register for these services. So that's one cohort that is very important for us, because it's a huge number of people that they don't have credit cards all around the world. And in terms of the mining rewards, so we dedicated 24% of our total allocation to our mining rewards with a 2-year halving system. But essentially, it's gonna become a DAO after we launch the protocol. So people can, propose their ideas for the Fula governance, and it can be changed like any other DAO. But the initial plan is 24% and 2 years halving, starting on the mainnet launch.
Sweet. So, sorry, how long, like what do you think the roadmap looks like for the next year?
Actually, good question. We are going live with our testnet in less than 10 days. So then users can, like, actually everyone can just go on our GitHub, install follow the instructions to install the protocol on their machine, like their laptop or Raspberry Pi board, and start using the first application, which is Photos. And then that's give an idea to the users of how the whole ecosystem works. We are also finalizing the design of the hardware. Like there are still the last tweaks that we are doing. Like as probably some of you know, we partnered with Yves Bahar to design a hardware that is very like appealing to the consumers, not something techy, because the initial version was a bit techy, but now we are like fine tuning it. We should have it in a month as well. And we are actually presenting in Futurist conference in Toronto for anyone who is going to be here. By end of this year, we are having our TGE, our mainnet launch, and we are shipping the first batches of the hardware. Like we had a pre-order campaign last month. So we are shipping the first batch by end of this year. And starting next year, we start our own hackathons. We are partner of Doro Hacks, so hopefully with them we can launch some hackathons to introduce the ecosystem to the developers. And we have actually this idea of that we discussed with one of our mentors from Techstars, like that is creating an ecosystem for developers to be able to gather funds for their application. So if I'm a developer and I create an application on Fula, it's monetized, like it's already monetized. But before creating the application, I need to fund my life basically to start creating an application. So that's where we are thinking of a layer 4. So if I want to create a new application, I can launch my own token, which is like we are partnered with Vision on that a project that creates allows developers to create their own token for the project and sell these tokens. Like users can basically stake the tokens, and like that gives them some funding in terms of funding their project. We are still in talk on that, so that will be the next year that we dig into this further. And yeah, hopefully we'll go from that. We expand the application ecosystem, the application diversity. What we envision is like at some point users can ditch all of their subscriptions like Netflix, YouTube, to start using alternatives that exist on this ecosystem. And it's like the benefit here is not just for developers and consumers, it's for creators, like for influencers. Right now, a creator that generates video on YouTube or Instagram, a big portion of their revenue is being taken basically by Facebook. But with this ecosystem, it's direct from influencer to the consumer. So when a user watches a video, a portion of the tokens go to the developer of that platform, let's say a YouTube alternative. So a portion of the tokens go to the creator of that YouTube alternative, and some portion goes to the creator of the content without any middleman in between. So that's actually that empowers the influencers, the application developers, and the consumers to basically to just get connected without any middleman in between, and improves the funds that are available to each party.
Great. Yeah, that's some awesome plans to scale up. By the way, guys, I totally forgot to mention, if you have any questions for the Functionland team, there's a channel, two channels up from this one called Voice Chat, the Voice Chat text channel. Drop your questions in there. We got one coming in from Andre. He's wondering, for governance in your upcoming DAO, is Polygon ID something you're interested in integrating?
For the DAO governance, we haven't decided yet. It's in the pipeline that how's the DAO gonna work out. For now, we haven't decided. We're making some optimization into our tokenomics, and we're gonna figure that out before our testnet, so within the next 10 days. But at this point, I can't say for sure that we're gonna use Polygon ID.
All right. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Governance is
And just
definitely further down the
one
pipeline. Sorry,
fact
go
is,
ahead.
yeah, on the technical side. So as I said, we are having bridges to the to our parent chains basically, and we are using so if someone connects to Polygon, they don't need to create a wallet on another chain. Like they need their we our system works like our identity basically works with Polygon identity if their parent chain is Polygon, or if their parent chain is something else like Dfinity, it works with Dfinity identification.
Okay, I just got a direct message from someone named Jack W5. He says, I saw Functionland's pitch at Collision Conference last week. How is their Series A fundraising going? Can you ask them? So,
Yeah, thanks for being there and listening to our pitch actually. So it's not Series A basically. Right now we are having it's the last private round that we are having before going for TGE. So wording for tokens might be a bit like confusing, but it's not like basically literally Series A. It's just the last private round that we are having. And we still haven't opened it. Like we are in talk with some investors. We are having pre-talks, and yeah, so that's how it is. We all know the market conditions though, but yeah, it's going.
yeah, and just for the listeners, TGE is a token generation event. So that's some alpha information about a upcoming chance to acquire some tokens, I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Okay, one thing that kind of caught my eye when I was looking into you guys was the Functional Elephants Club NFT collection. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so we also Irfan, do you want to cover this one?
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, the Functional Elephants Club, it's a collection of functional elephants, as the name says, that we distributed half of them to our community, early members of our community, and the second half would be before token generation event. So 500, the collection is 1,000, elephants in total. So 500 is out, and the second 500 is going to be out before the TGE. And the reason of having this collection is, first of all, appreciation of our community and being thankful for having them, and then incentivizing them for being our diehard community. Because as the name says, these elephants, they're not just some likable pictures. They're gonna have some functionalities that we're gonna announce before the TGE. But I'm just gonna mention one of the functionalities. I don't think we ever mentioned any of them, but for people here, I'm just gonna mention one of them, which is being able to participate in our public sale by having these elephants. You are pre-qualified to participate in our public sale, but it's due to KYC, of course.
And also in between, like even before TGE, like there are small appreciation rewards that we are giving. So in the upcoming Futurist conference, if any one of our elephant holders will be in Toronto, they can basically fill out the form that we posted on our Telegram channel to get a chance to get basically two free tickets to the Futures conference.
Fantastic. Wow, there's a ton of alpha shared there. Thank you so much for all of that. Really happy that you guys are here sharing all this fantastic information with us. So we got some more questions coming in from Burned by 89. He says, you mentioned earlier about working on partnerships for creating additional towers. Will you have any towers available for purchase when the first set of Indiegogo Box XL ships? If not, what is the timeline for launching additional towers?
Yeah, for the initial batch, right now we are focused on the main towers, which are the Fula tower and the storage tower. So most probably, like for the first batch, these two towers will be the ones that we are preparing. Like we created a partnership with Framework, which are the providers of one part of our hardware, Raspberry Pi, and we are in talk with a couple of storage providers to create like storage towers. So those two towers will be initially available, plus the hub tower, which is a customizable, controllable docking station. So users can basically use it as a docking station, but control it through their phone. Next year, we are focused on creating the other partnerships like that I mentioned. So we already have some connections with the companies that I mentioned, but we will be focused on creating towers. Like those talks require some time for both technical side and the revenue model side. So I can't provide an exact time frame for that, but that will be the first thing that we will focus on starting next year after the first batch is shipped.
Sweet. And then I'm wondering, there is a few different models. So you got the Box XL and you got the Box Lite. So even with the Box Lite, will you be able to mine Fula tokens right out of the box with that device?
Yes. So the difference between the two tiers is the expandability plus the docking station. So if you get a Fula tower, just one Fula tower, it gives you full functionality plus two expansion cards to expand your storage, or you can just get a USB expansion card and plug in your own storage. But you don't get the base to expand basically the functionality of the tower, or add storage towers, or add the hub tower. With the full tier, with the XL tier, you get the base, you get the docking station, which is like a pretty cool thing to expand the storage and the functionality, like the features of the tower, plus Full tower. So in both tiers, you get the benefits of using our applications, like the applications that are available, and mine tokens.
All right. That's a very exciting. So Burned by 89 had another question regarding the functional elephant NFT collection. He's wondering if the second batch will have any different functionality than the first batch of 500. So he's currently debating if he should just go and buy one from OpenSea right now or wait for the second batch to launch. And how much are you planning to charge for the second batch, and will they be sold through OpenSea? What's the distribution look like for the second batch of 500?
Yeah, so the FEC, it's actually on Polygon, as you may know. So the first batch was an NFT drop, as I said, for appreciation of our early supporters. The second batch, there is going to be a sale for the second batch, but we cannot announce the price right now because we haven't decided yet. But yeah, of course, you can just go on OpenSea and purchase one of them right now. This way, you can actually be eligible to for a chance to win one of the futures tickets.
All right, cool. I don't see I would drop the link for them, but I do not see the link. Oh, maybe this is it. Well, if one of you guys wants to drop the link for the OpenSea collection in the voice chat text channel, that'd be fantastic. And yeah, so just to clarify, like the functionality is the same for all 1,000 of them.
Yes, yes, the functionality is the same. Yeah, they're the same collection, so the functionality is gonna be work as the same.
Thank you. Is there anything that we haven't touched upon already that you guys want to, any narratives you want to explore?
Anything on tokenomics, Irfan?
No, technically nothing on the tokenomics side. Yeah, not on my end.
Okay. One thing I just wanted to mention is like many questions got to us in like initially when we launched the product about how is it different from NAS, and we came up with this like with this term like blockchain attached storage BAS to associate it that it's somehow an evolution of NAS. So there are like some shortcomings with NAS, like if you have your own NAS, even if it's an open source platform, you still need somehow to access your network attached storage from outside your home. So you either need a Dyna DNS or static IP. It requires setup, so it needs some technicality there. Also, the application set that is right now on NAS is not that diverse, and the reason is the developers are not really like incentivized to create applications for NAS. So it will, and like the backup that you do on NAS, it's just on your own device. So if you lose it, and if it's in one place, you're gonna lose your data. So these shortcomings are the ones that we tried to address in blockchain attached storage. So we try to get the goods from network attached storage and the goods from cloud and leave out the bad. So you get the benefits of network attached storage, which is my own data on my own device, but also you get the benefit of the cloud, which is resilient backups on other devices. And developers get the benefits of cloud, which is creating applications on that is monetized for me, but also get the benefits of NAS, which is create an application, but I don't need to host users' data on and pay for an AWS. And yeah, so these are the things that we try to improve in blockchain attached storage. We are naming we named it initially like the name of the product, we named it Box, but our community participated in vote to change the name. So we will announce the new name soon. And I think that's it. So yeah, so very excited for the mission ahead, for the journey ahead. And I hope we can disrupt the cloud industry, because right now, like we are creating information, like millions of, like billions of terabytes of information is created every second right now in the world. And these information to be usable, we need to process them and create knowledge from them. And right now, cloud providers like Google, Microsoft, they are doing this processing. So we provide our data to them, they process it, and they use the knowledge themselves. So if I'm browsing something on Instagram and Instagram knows that I'm interested in a mug, all it's showing me is pictures of mugs. And they are abusing this knowledge. So as I said, like they are abusing it to sell me more mugs, something that I probably don't need. And we are trying to put a stop on that. So my information is mine. If any knowledge is being created from that information, should be mine. So if Instagram wants to send me something, they need to, with this new ecosystem, they need to send me their application instead of me sending them my data. And for many big companies, so we are not really a competitor of many big companies. So there are a lot of companies, a lot of businesses that users' data is their liability, not a benefit for them. And these companies can hugely benefit from this new ecosystem because right now, for example, a retail company that is holding users' data, it's a big liability for them. If a hack happens, if something happens to users' data, they're gonna like sue them for big amounts. With this ecosystem, they are no longer liable if they want to like use users' data to benefit the users. They're simply ship the application to the user's box, and the user's box processes the information, suggest like or provide that benefit to the user without imposing any security risk on the user or any liability on the big company. So we believe like the whole new ecosystem benefits everyone except the gatekeepers who are right now benefiting from keeping users' data.
Phenomenal. Yeah, you guys have a outstanding mission statement, and we're raising like tons of incredibly important points, tackling really key real world issues. What are some potential implementations that you would be really excited to see? I noticed that you guys got touch on where does Functionland fit in with the open metaverse? GameFi. Do you see like social media as an option? Like, what are the implementations you'd be most excited to see?
Oh, well, actually, all implementations would be exciting for us. Anything like we have our first documentation for the developers out. So there are a few example applications that developers can play with. It's the creation of application in our ecosystem is pretty simple. So that's, as I said, that's one part that we focused on a lot. Like we tried to take the pain of creating a Web3 application out from the developers. Right now, like a React developer can simply import one line of the code and start creating a full application from the scratch without knowing anything about Web3. So, and like one thing that we really want to see is basically giving the control back to the user. So anything that gives the control back. So right now, like we are even seeing a lot of these Web3 companies that are what they really are a Web2 company covered in a Web3 term. So because they are not really like they are still the gatekeeper. Like we saw this like we saw that OpenSea blocked a lot of users. They aren't really supposed to do that. Like they are supposed to be a Web3, which means no gatekeepers. So these kind of behaviors that we are seeing every day in Web3, and they are actually increasing Web3, they are unacceptable. And we really want to put an end to it. So if you are a developer, just feel free to dig into our protocol. Our GitHub is open source, so dig into it. If you see any security issues, if you see any features that are not there, just feel free to comment. And yeah, we try to be collaborative, and that's the beauty of Web3. Like we are collaborating with all these projects like Polygon, Polkadot, like all these projects that are out there that are big. And the collaborative environment of Web3 is what are moving everyone forward. Like unlike Web2, that like if you want to create something new, you have to go through thousands of filters. In Web3, any big project is just one link away from you. Like we get meetings with CEOs, like not CEOs basically, but it's founders of big companies in Web3 with a link away, which is not possible in Web2. And that's what's really like interesting about Web3. Like that's what really different from in Web3 than Web2. Like that everyone is one click link, one click away from you. Unlike Web2 that you have to pass through all these filters to get to someone just to for a meeting. So thank you everyone. Like thank you Polygon community. Thank you like everyone who is Web3 for the support and collaboration that they are providing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and sharing all this alpha information with us. And I think you touched on something really important there, like how any Web 2 developer can easily start building with this just by inserting one snippet of code. They don't really even have to understand the whole Web 3 ecosystem. And it's extremely important what you guys are doing, taking the control of user data away from Web 2 companies and getting it all, you know, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but back into the hands of the people essentially, and privatized, secure, um, encrypted. Yeah, it's amazing what you guys are doing. Very grateful that you guys are here today sharing all of this with us. If anybody has any last minute questions they want to get in real quick, send them in the voice chat text channel. We're running low on time here. Um, and yeah, thanks again, guys. Really
Just
appreciate
to
you.
mention, if anyone has any comes up with any question that is not answered here, they can simply find us on any social media like Twitter, Telegram, with the handle Functionland. So just feel free to connect there and drop your question there. We'll be glad to answer.
For sure. Here, I'm dropping all of the links in the voice chat text channel. So we got the website, Discord, Twitter, LinkedIn, Telegram, and yeah, it's all there for anyone who wants to follow up with Functionland. And I don't see any last minute questions coming in. So if you guys want to wrap this up, we definitely can. And I'm really looking forward to meeting you guys at the Futurist Conference.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, likewise. I got very uh, glad that we are meeting you actually there. So hope to see you there in a month. And thanks everyone for joining, for giving us this opportunity in Polygon community.
Yeah, thank you everyone for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. You guys
And
are always welcome back.
thank you, thank you.
Have a good day, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, I'm shutting it down. Thanks again, everybody, for being here, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye.